Once upon a time, around the late 1700s, there were 13 colonies along the east coast of what is now the United States of America. These colonies were part of the British Empire, and the people who lived there were British subjects. But not everything was going smoothly. The story begins with a bit of unfairness. The British government in far-off London was making decisions for the colonies without asking them what they thought. The British king, King George III, and his government introduced taxes on things like tea and paper with something called the Stamp Act and the Tea Act. The colonists didn't like this one bit. They felt it was unfair to be taxed without having any say in the matter. This led to the famous saying, "No taxation without representation." People living in the colonies were getting more and more upset. They wanted to make their own decisions about their own lives and futures. So they began to gather and discuss what they could do. This is where important figures like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and Benjamin Franklin came in. They were leaders among the colonists who started thinking of a new idea, independence. One chilly December evening in the year 1773, a group of colonists in Boston got so mad about the tea taxes, they dressed up as Native Americans, sneaked onto some ships in the harbor, and threw all the tea overboard. This bold protest was called the Boston Tea Party. Soon after, a series of meetings known as the Continental Congress were held, where representatives from all the colonies decided to stand up to Britain together. Then, in 1775, fighting broke out between the colonists and British troops in a battle known as the Battle of Lexington and Concord. This was the start of the American Revolutionary War. The colonists wanted freedom from British rule, and they were ready to fight for it. On July 4, 1776, a special document called the Declaration of Independence was signed. It was a letter to the world announcing that the colonies were now the United States of America and were free from British rule. The war went on for several years, with many battles both on land and at sea. The colonists, often called patriots, faced the powerful British Army. They had help from other countries like France, which sent soldiers and ships to support them. The American Revolution was hard and dangerous, but the colonists were determined. In the end, the Patriots won a very important victory at the Battle of Yorktown in 1781, which helped to bring the war to a conclusion. Finally, in 1783, a treaty was signed in Paris, called the Treaty of Paris, where Britain recognized the independence of the United States. This was the beginning of a new nation where people wanted to govern themselves, free from the control of kings and queens. It was a time of big changes, full of challenges and adventures, and it all started because the people wanted to make their own choices about how to live their lives. And so, the United States of America was born from the spirit of independence and the courage to fight for freedom.